When I made my video last week about the Antichrist is coming, when I made it, I believed that that warning was enough to just cover on this subject at that time. I believe that those with eyes to see would be able to understand what is being communicated, and they will be able to plan accordingly. It wasn't until that video was released and I read through the comments that I recognized how divided we really are. On the topic of the Antichrist, it is another subject that is very much debated and filled with a lot of confusion. As a matter of fact, it goes right along with the whole subject on the end times. There is massive confusion on what is to come. And there are many reasons for it. We have false doctrines like the pre-tribulation rapture that people cannot let go of. We have major movies like Left Behind and a lot of the Christian pure flick movies that have further spread that indoctrination. We have churches and pastors that have completely distracted their congregations. We have an abundance of evil leaders in this world that are right in our faces, so everyone wants to believe that this figure could be it or that figure could be it. And then we have an abundance of people, like me, giving out their views on this subject as well. An abundance of people claiming to be prophets and many people speaking on their dreams and a whole bunch of other things. There is definitely a lot of noise out here, probably more than ever before. Definitely more noise than I ever had when I first started researching all of this. I want to be clear that I am not a man that is trying to elevate myself here. This is why I do not show myself and make videos in that way. I was never led to. I was led to illustrate what Yah has shown me. I am not appointing myself into any role of leadership. I just want to communicate what Father has given me and prepare those who desire Him. When Yahuwah gathers us all and we all come together, He will appoint leadership and we will follow who He appoints. It won't be based off our number of YouTube channel subscribers or Instagram or TikTok following. Or it won't be based off the groups that we started or anything else of the sort. And so for me, I always pray for humility so that I do not elevate myself and I just do what our Father guides me to do. And that's not saying that everyone else is elevating themselves. Absolutely not. But there are many leaders that do. I will not name them, but they are nobody that I follow. Pride and vanity are very dangerous things. A little fame can go a long way. I personally feel blessed that I do not have to deal with those pressures and I can just teach what Yah has given me to say. I'm just being a little transparent. I say all that to say that does not mean that I feel that I am infallible and I cannot be wrong. This is why I engage in the comment section. If your views cannot be challenged, then how do you know that you're actually in the truth? But for me in this ministry, I do hold to a major rule. That rule is that I do not say things or speak about things that I have not thoroughly researched. Sadly, this is not the rule for many. And in this topic is where we can see clear evidence of that. Today, in the mainstream, there are two main figures that the majority of Christians in this world declare to be main figures of the end times Bible prophecy. That is Barack Obama and the Roman Catholic Church. There are many ministries that have declared each of these figures, Obama or the Pope, to be the Antichrist, the beast of Revelation chapter 13. I mean, I get it. When I first started seeing the world for what it truly is, it was at the time of Obama's rising. And I too, at one time, believed that Obama was the Antichrist. But long ago, I found that this was based upon lazy research and I just was following the thoughts of others. At this time, you can disagree and believe whatever it is that you want to. I do not believe that everyone is going to understand everything I'm communicating all at once. But I do believe in planting seeds, and if Yah wills, when the time comes and massive confusion begins, these seeds can start to grow and help many of you navigate through them. There are many false prophecies out here and many people claiming this or claiming that. You can lump me all together with them because that's the only fair thing to do. When it all comes down, someone will be right and there will be many that are wrong. Only thing that I can do is present to you what I have studied and what Yah has shown me. I share what I'm preparing my family for. So in regards to this topic about the Antichrist, when most people speak about the Antichrist, there are many things that people are leaving out, and that has to do with a great deal of information being left out of their analysis and their research. It is very easy to say Barack Obama is the Antichrist because he definitely is a part of the whole agenda. I don't even think that everyone who claims Obama is the Antichrist is speaking this wrong intentionally or they're just giving false prophecy. I also believe that they were shown things about Obama. I believe that. When it comes to Obama, I don't believe he's the Antichrist, but more accurately, I believe he is Satan in the flesh. I don't know how much I can elaborate on this kind of platform, so I'll just keep it there. So with that understanding, it makes sense that people that are claiming him to be the Antichrist are making that claim based on what they feel that they are being shown by Yah. But I just think that they are interpreting what Yah is showing them wrong. When understanding the Antichrist, you cannot say you understand who this figure is without clearly understanding their lies and some of the things that they have guarded throughout history. That's why I re-released that video this midweek, because it's important to understand everything that people believe. But there's also more to it. Things like the Holy Grail, the Merovingians, the Knights Templar, prior year Sion, and that's just a small list. If you haven't put any of those into your equation, you don't fully understand this topic. Anyone who says that they have a clear understanding of these things when speaking to me always needs to tell me where their research has taken them in regards to those topics I just listed. For the most part, I have not met many that speak on the Antichrist that have much of this understanding with them and have not come to the same conclusions that I have. Anyways, this is the topic that people need to be careful of dealing with. And so I have not been led to teach on the Antichrist yet, because Yah has not placed it on me to teach about this on this platform as of yet. But here's the thing. Regardless of who the coming lawless one is, it is important that we understand the world that he will be coming into. So when this world comes together, we will be able to discern it and prepare for it. There is a world government coming, and it is important that we all understand it according to Bible prophecy. So instead of me focusing on the Antichrist, I think that we need to understand more of the prophecy. So in this discussion, we need to understand what Yahuwah has prophesied to come in the last days when we speak about the fourth beast, also known as the coming world government. Let's begin. Okay, so in discussing this topic, I think it's important that we start from a perspective that everyone can understand. In discussing the Antichrist, besides the many that were saying it was Obama or the Pope, there were many that wanted to say that there was not going to be any figure like the Antichrist, or the Antichrist is just a spirit. There was a lot of discussion about what we would even call him. I believe that certain things need to be set straight, and there needs to be proper understanding in order for everyone to see things clearly. And so we need to discuss some other elements to Bible prophecy in order for this figure to be made more clear to you. We can discuss the coming one world religion and the mark of the beast, but that rushes the conversation because those things happen after the beast rises. When I say the beast, I'm speaking of the Antichrist. In order to discuss the Antichrist, I want to discuss the agenda that comes first. When I discussed last week about the Antichrist coming, I spoke of this because I wanted everyone to be prepared for the conditions to be set that would set the stage for the emergence of the beast. The first part of this conspiracy is the coming world government, which is known as the fourth beast. This is what we are all building up right now to. All the conflict in this world is all about this. So I think it is important that we back up a bit and discuss this. Okay, so you see, though none of these plans are done in private, they are all in plain sight to see. We have been so programmed to focus only on the news that our mainstream media gives us that we only focus on the points that they want us to know. And while the world moves in one direction in unity with major goals in place, it is the unknowing general public that are blind and only see what is directly in front of them. We have been conditioned to be reactive instead of proactive. And while they are conditioning us slowly to accept this coming world government, they are not directly telling us that it's coming. And what will happen is that when it does come, the world will actually be begging for it without proper understanding of what it truly is. Now, make no mistake, it is coming. There is nothing we can do to avoid it or stop it. This video is not made for you to revolt against it or spark some kind of revolution because, listen, you cannot stop Bible prophecy. You can only determine what side of it you will be on. And so while the majority of us have been unknowingly programmed to accept this when the time is ready, I believe that there should be more of an understanding of what is actually in front of us and what is to come. Now, I'm sure you have heard the phrase, history repeats itself, right? Well, in dealing with the prophecy of the Antichrist and the one world government, it is important that you understand this is exactly what we're seeing today. Our modern day world is repeating the first goal of the first known world civilization. The world is building a civilization to collectively rebel against and challenge the true creator of this world, the Most High, Yahuwah. If you want to understand what is going on in this world, you must understand it from what happens in the beginning. For instance, someone in the comments last week said, very condescendingly by the way, Where in the Bible does it say that Satan will have a child? What she didn't recognize because she's not reading her Bible is that the answer to that is very simple. It's found in the 3rd chapter of the Bible. When Yahuwah is talking to the serpent, Satan, he gives the first prophecy of the scriptures. And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. Genesis chapter 3, verse 15. It's a simple answer if you just go back and study from the beginning. The problem most people have today is they go to the book of Revelation because it's the last book of prophecy, and they base all their understandings off of what is said there. But they do not have enough understanding of what happened in the Bible before all of that. You need to have some knowledge of the past. You need to have knowledge of the scriptures if you're going to understand the book of Revelation. We must go back in history. So in reference to this coming world government, we must go back in history. In order to gain more understanding, we will go back to the first Babylon because this is where it all starts. If you don't understand this, then there are points about Bible prophecy that you cannot understand in regards to the goals of the wicked. Let me explain more from understanding history. The first Babylon was the first empire of the world. It was based in the land of Mesopotamia and ruled by the Sumerians. This was the people that came together to challenge Yahuwah. They built a large tower known as the Tower of Babel. They built it to challenge Elohim and prove their greatness. This was an empire that was in pure rebellion against Yah. They came together speaking one language from which they were able to conspire against our Creator. They were under the rule of the king, who was Nimrod, the leader of this world government. At this time, after the flood, they were the inhabitants of the world, and they came together in order to challenge the dominion of Yahuwah. They were in rebellion. Now, Genesis chapter 11 speaks about this. But if you read the book of Jasher, you can gather even more detail. I personally read the Apocrypha. If you do not, then listen, that's your choice. Let me say, for me, I am not under the dominion of the Church of England. Just because they have chosen to keep these books out does not mean that they are my authority. If you have not actually read these books, please make sure you do not speak against them. That is the behavior of the ignorant. Anyways, if you read the book of Jasher, it goes into great detail about this subject. Chapter 9 of Jasher, starting at verse 20 says, "And King Nimrod reigned securely, and all the earth was under his control. And all the earth was of one tongue and words of union. And all the princes of Nimrod and his great men took counsel together. They said to each other, 'Come, let us build ourselves a city, and in it a strong tower, and its top reaching heaven, and we will make ourselves famed, so that we may reign upon the whole world, in order that the evil of our enemies may cease from us, that we may reign mightily over them, that we may not become scattered over the earth on account of their wars.' And they all went before the king, and they told the king these words. And the king agreed with them in this affair, and he did so. And all the families assembled, consisting of about 600,000 men, and they went to seek an extensive piece of ground to build the city and the tower. And they sought the whole earth, and they found none like one valley at the east of the land of Shinar, about 2 days' walk. And they journeyed there, and they dwelt there. And they began to make bricks and burn fires to build the city and the tower that they had imagined to complete. And the building of the tower was unto them as a transgression and a sin, and they began to build it. And whilst they were building against Yahuwah Elohim of heaven, they imagined in their hearts to war against him and to ascend into heaven. And all these people and all the families divided themselves in 3 parts. The first said, 'We will ascend into heaven and fight against him.' The second said, 'We will ascend to heaven and place our own gods there and serve them.' And the third part said, 'We will ascend to heaven and smite him with bows and spears.' And Elohim knew all their works and all their evil thoughts. And he saw the city and the tower which they were building. And when they were building, they built themselves a great city and had a very high and strong tower. And on account of its height, the mortar and bricks did not reach the builders and their ascent to it, until those who went up had completed a full year, and after that they reached to the builders and gave them the mortar and the bricks. Thus it was done daily. And behold, these ascended and others descended the whole day. And if a brick should fall from their hands and get broken, they would all weep over it. And if a man fell and died, none of them would look at him. And Yahuwah knew their thoughts. And it came to pass when they were building, they cast the arrows toward the heavens, and all the arrows fell upon them filled with blood. And when they saw them, they said to each other, Surely we have slain all those that are in heaven. For this was from Yahuwah in order to cause them and in order to destroy them from off the face of the ground. And they built the tower and the city, and they did this thing daily until many days and years were elapsed. And Elohim said to the 70 angels who stood foremost before him, to those who were near to him, saying, Come, let us descend and confuse their tongues, that one man shall not understand the language of his neighbor. And they did so unto them. And from that day following, they forgot each man his neighbor's tongue, and they cannot understand to speak in one tongue. And when the builder took from the hands of his neighbors lime or stone, which he did not order, the builder would cast it away and throw it upon his neighbor, that he would die. And they did so many days, and they killed many of them in this manner. And when those who were left amongst them, when they knew and understood the evil which was coming upon them, they forsook the building, and they also became scattered upon the face of the whole earth. And they ceased building the city and the tower. Therefore he called that place Babel. For there Yahuwah confounded the language of the whole earth. Behold, it was at the east of the land of Shinar. And this is the story of the first Babylon, a world empire that sought to come together to challenge our Creator, and from this empire we have the pagan gods that later the world will come to worship. Father god Nimrod, who is the sun god, the mother goddess Semiramis, who is the moon goddess, and the son of the sun god Tammuz, who is the sun god reborn. It's important to understand the first Babylon, because if you do not, then you will never understand the prophecy of the beast system to come. You see, Satan is not reinventing himself. He's not doing anything new. In that history, you will find the goals that Satan desires to fulfill. So that's what happened in the times of the Tower of Babel. King Nimrod reigned securely, and all the earth was under his control. And all the earth was of one tongue and words of union. They aspired to ascend to heaven and fight Yahuwah. This was the first world government never seen again. Like I have repeatedly said, everything we are witnessing is about creating another form of this, so that Satan is in complete dominion of this world. So let's discuss this further. Now, listen, I'm not an expert in Freemasonry. It can never be, because I will never be a Mason. But based on much of their writings, this event at Babel is very important to their beliefs. They have a lot of literature that has been distributed over time that you can understand the basics of their belief without understanding their secrets, which they hold very tight and deep. In Albert Mackey's Encyclopedia of Freemasonry and its Kindred Sciences, he writes that, at Babel, Oliver says that what has been called spurious Freemasonry took its origin. That is to say, the people there abandoned the worship of the true God, and by their dispersion lost all knowledge of his existence, and of the principles of truth upon which Freemasonry is founded. Hence it is that the old instructions speak of the lofty Tower of Babel as a place where language was confounded and Freemasonry lost. Now listen, I should always note that when they are talking about the worship of the true God, it is not Yahuwah, but Lucifer, their light bearer. But that should be very clear. Now let's keep going. When researching what they have to say about Nimrod, their encyclopedia says, the legend of the craft in the old constitutions refers to Nimrod as one of the founders of Freemasonry. Thus in the York manuscript number 1, we read, at the making of the Tower of Babel, there was masonry first much esteemed of, and the king of Babylon, who was called Nimrod, was a mason himself and loved well masons. And the Cook manuscript thus repeats the story. And this same Nimrod began the Tower of Babylon, and he taught to his workmen the craft of masonry. And he had with him many masons, more than 40,000, and he loved and cherished them well. This is what Freemasonry believes, and what they are dedicated to accomplishing. King Nimrod was one of the founders of Freemasonry. Why? Because he led the movement of rebellion against Yahuwah. You must understand that this is all a religious war. Their goal is to complete this challenge of Yahuwah again more completely, and this is an unspoken goal of the grand conspiracy known as the New World Order. So before we go too far in their doctrine, let's just back up a taste. Let's understand what the Bible has to say about a world government. To study this biblically, we will draw our understanding from two main chapters that discuss this, That's Revelation chapter 13 and Daniel chapter 7. We'll read from Revelation chapter 13 first. Then I stood on the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rising up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his horns 10 crowns, and on his heads a blasphemous name. Now the beast which I saw was like a leopard. His feet were like the feet of a bear, and his mouth like the mouth of a lion. The dragon gave him his power, his throne, and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as if it had been mortally wounded, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world marveled and followed the beast. So they worshipped the dragon who gave authority to the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, "Who is like the beast? Who was able to make war with him?" And he was given a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies. And he was given authority to continue for 42 months. Then he opened his mouth in blasphemy against Elohim, to blaspheme his name, his tabernacle, and those who dwell in heaven. It was granted to him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And authority was given him over every tribe, tongue, and nation. All who dwell on the earth will worship him, whose names have not been written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. If anyone has ears to hear, let him hear. He who leads into captivity shall go into captivity. He who kills with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and faith of the saints. Then I saw another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb and spoke like a dragon. And he exercises all the authority of the first beast in his presence, and causes the earth and those who dwell in it to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. He performs great signs, so that he makes even fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. And he deceives those who dwell on the earth by those signs which he was granted to do in the sight of the beast, telling those who dwell on the earth to make an image to the beast, who was wounded by the sword and lived. He was granted power to give breath to the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many who would not worship the image of the beast to be killed. He causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads, and that no man may buy or sell except one who has the mark or name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. His number is 666. That's Revelation chapter 13, verses 1 through 18. So let's review this. Verses 1 and 2 of chapter 13 says, "Then I stood on the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rising up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his horns 10 crowns, and on his heads a blasphemous name. Now the beast which I saw was like a leopard. His feet were like the feet of a bear, and his mouth like the mouth of a lion. The dragon gave him his power, his throne, and great authority." You see, John sees this beast coming up out of the sea, and we can make more sense of that when we read what Daniel had to say. In Daniel chapter 7, Daniel tells of a dream that he had in which he saw the rise and fall of 4 Gentile world empires. Each of the world empires were characterized as a beast coming from the sea of nations. Daniel chapter 7 verse 3 says, "And 4 great beasts came up from the sea, each different from the other." You see, the sea that the beast is rising out of is the Gentile nations of the world. This is to say that the beast system and the Antichrist will not come from Yasharel. It will come from the Gentiles. The Antichrist does not come from the original Hebrew Israelite bloodline. He is a counterfeit that comes from the Gentiles, though he will claim that he is from the bloodline of King David. Be clear, and I need this to be understood. This is not a racial topic, though people want to claim it's about skin color. For those with discernment, it is not. Those that can only see race are blinded and will not understand truly what's going on. We are not defined by our skin color, but the nation that we descend from. If you only see me as a black man with black skin color, which is not black, I'm brown, but if you only see me through color, you will not understand what it is I'm trying to say here. But if you can't get that, that's on you. Let's talk a little bit more in depth about the beast. So we have Revelation chapter 13 and we have Daniel chapter 7. But let's add some more details found in Revelation chapter 17. We will read verses 7 through 14. "But the angel said to me, 'Why did you marvel? I will tell you the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carries her, which has the 7 heads and the 10 horns. The beast that you saw was and is not, and will ascend out of the bottomless pit and go to perdition. And those who dwell on the earth will marvel, whose names are not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they see the beast that was and is not and yet is. Here's the mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. There are also 7 kings. 5 have fallen, 1 is, and the other has not yet come. And when he comes, he must continue a short time. The beast that was and is not is himself also the 8th, and is of the 7, and is going to perdition. The 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings who have received no kingdom as yet, but they receive authority for 1 hour as kings with the beast. These are of one mind, and they will give their power and authority to the beast. These will make war with the Lamb, and the land will overcome them. For he is Yahuwah Adonai and King of kings. And those who are with him are called chosen and faithful. From reading Revelation chapter 13, while also applying what we learned in Daniel chapter 7, and the explanation for the beast that is given in Revelation chapter 17, we see that the beast is made up of a lot of kingdoms that have come up through world history. It's not just one, it has many different parts to it. The 7 mountains are 7 kingdoms. So let's examine this beast. We already know he comes from the Gentile nations. We handled that earlier. But then he also has 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his horns 10 crowns. Do you remember in Revelation chapter 12, the dragon we find in verse 3, that verse 9 refers to as Satan? He also has 7 heads and 10 horns. But the crowns are on the dragon's head, while the crowns are on the beast's horn. The dragon and the beast are similar again, because it emphasized that this beast comes from the power and authority that was given to Satan, like verse 2 of Revelation chapter 13 says. Now, according to Revelation chapter 17, the 7 heads of the beast are identified as both mountains and as rulers, kings. The mountain is typically a symbol for a kingdom. The 7 kingdoms could be the world empires over ancient history that brought us to the point in time we are at right now. This would be Samaria, Egypt, Babylon, Greece, Persia, Rome, and the empire and power that seems to be hidden from the minds of most people today, the British Empire. The empire that controls most of the American Christian church today. How many people are King James only people? They speak against knowing our Father's name because England said it was not important. There's too much to explain here, and Yah willing, he will give me the words to cover it. But this is definitely one area that most people that speak of prophecy are leaving out. And they leave it out because they're still under that power and control unknowingly. I don't want to single anyone out, but if these prophets are still holding on to the ineffable name doctrine that they have been given from the English translators, using the Lord in reference to our Father, they are still held under the power of England and they don't recognize it. And so, of course, there will be parts of Bible prophecy hidden to them, which is why they can only see Barack Obama as the Antichrist. It's because there is power in this world that is hidden from them. But this is a completely different subject. I don't want to go too far. Let's go back to the beast. Like I said, the 7 kingdoms could be the world empires over ancient history that brought us to the point in time we are at right now. That would be Samaria, Egypt, Babylon, Greece, Persia, Rome, and Britain. But here's the thing. I don't know for sure. Nobody can say they know for sure. This is what I believe they could be mentioning, but I do not elevate myself to say this with assurance and say I cannot be wrong. I've studied this extensively and reviewed others' research as well, and this could be correct, or it could be something very different. In verse 2, we see the beast was like a leopard. His feet were like the feet of a bear, and his mouth was like the mouth of a lion, which aligns with the first 3 beasts of Daniel's vision in Daniel chapter 7, verses 4 through 6. You see, the beast is complex, but in this beginning description, we are clearly talking about a world empire, a political system. Like I just said, in Daniel chapter 7, verses 4 through 6, he saw 3 beasts that were kings that rose up. He saw a 4th beast that was different than the rest. This is found in verses 7 and 8. It says, "After this, I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, exceedingly strong. It had huge iron teeth. It was devouring, breaking in pieces, and trampling the residue with its feet. It was different from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. I was considering the horns, and there was another horn, a little one, coming up from among them, before whom 3 of the first horns were plucked out by the roots. And there, in this horn, were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking pompous words. So listen, we will get to the little horn at a later time, but we see the 4th beast that was different from them all. This dream of Daniel was interpreted, and verse 23 and 24 explains this 4th beast. It says, "The 4th beast shall be a 4th kingdom on earth, which shall be different from all the other kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, trample it and break it in pieces. The 10 horns are 10 kings who shall arise from this kingdom, and another shall rise after them. He shall be different from the first ones, and shall subdue 3 kings." So when we're tying it all together, understand, this 4th beast of Daniel and the beast that came out of the sea in Revelation 13, they are the same. Like Daniel chapter 7 verse 23 says, "The 4th beast shall be a 4th kingdom on earth, which shall be different from all other kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, trample it, and break it in pieces." This is clearly a kingdom, but it's different than all the others because it devours the whole earth. And like the scripture says, the dragon, who we know is Satan, gave the beast its authority. And as we understand what is going on in world events and the structures that they have built, we can clearly discern that this beast is the United Nations. There currently is an agenda that is calling for more control and governance by the United Nations. This is what we know to be the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, also known as Agenda 21. We have seen events like the Global Citizen Festival that shows that there is now an international government that the population are citizens of. But this is what the beast will be. It will be like a revived Roman Empire, which is why we see the Roman symbol of peace on their logo, which is the olive branch. But it will also be a completion of the task that was undertaken at Samaria through the founder of Freemasonry, King Nimrod. They want to bring the world together in unity. Like the kingdom of Samaria, it will have one ruler, like Nimrod. The United Nations will not be a conqueror, but the nations of the world will gladly surrender to one body of governance rather than having many world leaders that can provoke war and conflict.
Hydra created a world so chaotic that humanity is finally ready to sacrifice its freedom to gain its security. Once the purification process is complete, Hydra's new world order will arise.
The world will denounce the populist ideas of leaders like Donald Trump and unite under a common goal for the world and not place one country above the rest. In either case, the United Nations is a part of the complete symbolism of the beast found in Revelation chapter 13 and the 4th beast of Daniel chapter 7. Its authority will be granted by Satan. And so, as we continue on in the chapter of Revelation chapter 13, the characteristics now are about a person and not a world empire, as they worship the beast. You do not worship a world empire, but all the people worship the beast, but they also worship Satan. That's according to Revelation chapter 13, verse 4. The dragon is Satan, and we see that all the world worship the dragon who gave authority to the beast, and they worship the beast as well. This verse is explicitly explaining why we are being conditioned to accept satanic doctrine. The world is being prepared to worship the dragon, which is Satan. Verses 3 and 4 says that the world marveled after the beast, and then verse 5 says that he was given a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and his authority was given for 42 months. Verse 7 says it was granted for him to make war with the saints. This is a man, like we see in Daniel chapter 7 with the little horn. Verses 24 and 25 of Daniel 7 explain it as, "The 10 horns are 10 kings who shall arise from the kingdom, and another shall arise after them. He shall be different from the first ones, and shall subdue 3 kings. He shall speak pompous words against the Most High, shall persecute the saints of the Most High, and shall intend to change times and law. Then the saints shall be given into his hand for a time and times and half a time." This little horn is the same as the beast in Revelation chapter 13. Verse 7 and 8 says authority was given to him over every tribe, tongue, and nation. All who dwell on the earth will worship him, whose name has not been written in the book of life. These verses clearly explains a man of sin that is given authority by Satan for a period of time. Remember, in chapter 11 of Revelation, Verse 7 explains that the beast that ascends out of the bottomless pit will make war against the two witnesses and kill them. This is the same beast. And so when we understand this first beast and then combine it with Daniel chapter 7, along with other scriptures in the book of Revelation that also speak of the beast, it becomes a lot clearer of what the beast of Revelation is. We see the world empire and the little horn who is the ruler of it. The United Nations and Antichrist are the first beast of Revelation chapter 13. And that brings all of this together. There is far too much debate and controversy over all this because there has been decades, centuries even, of lies and falsehoods that have been spread through mainstream Christianity. There are many views that do not stem from the Roman Catholic Church, but actually the Church of England. When I started my series about the pre-tribulation rapture doctrine, I started it there with Derby in England because people do not understand where the source of their doctrine actually comes from. There is a hidden hand of power that is hidden within Christianity. Those of Yasharel must not submit to that power and authority any longer. We are breaking free from all of that. All these churches focus and reject the Roman Catholic Church while they submit to the Church of England. It makes no sense. It's absolutely ridiculous. And it's like this because they don't know history. You want to speak against the Roman Catholic Church and all their obvious falsehoods that they have presented, but you still accept the English name of our Messiah because you submit to the Church of England. You practice their ineffable name doctrine because you submit to the Church of England. Our Messiah was not English. So be clear, everyone that refuses to identify with the culture and heritage of Yasharel, it is because you are held under a false authority that leads to the beast. The Hebrews had a set-apart culture, and it is very important. Yah gave them that culture. Everything about the Hebrews is because of Yah. When you reject their culture, you reject him. But again, I'm going off subject. I'm just trying to show that there's another hand in doctrine that people are ignoring. But let me wrap this up. In discussing and understanding the coming world government, it is important that you understand these things. 1. You must go back to the first Babylon. 2. Understand what King Nimrod did at the Tower of Babel. 3. You must understand that Freemasonry desires to complete the task done at Babel. 4. Nimrod was one of the founders of Freemasonry, so if you don't understand what he did, you won't understand what they desire to happen again. 5. You must read Daniel chapter 7, Revelation chapter 13, and Revelation chapter 17 to understand the beast. 6. Understand the characteristics of the beast. 7. According to Daniel chapter 7, verse 3, the sea that the beast is rising out of is the Gentile nations of the world. This is to say that the beast system and the Antichrist will not come from true Yasharel. It will come from the Gentiles. The Antichrist is not from the original Hebrew Israelite bloodline. He is a counterfeit that comes from the Gentiles, though he will claim that he is from the bloodline of King David. 8. From reading Revelation chapter 13, while also applying what we learn in Daniel chapter 7 and the explanation for the beast that is given in Revelation chapter 17, we see that the beast is made up of a lot of kingdoms that have come through world history. It's not just one. It has many different parts to it. 9. According to Revelation chapter 17, the 7 heads of the beast are identified as both mountains and as rulers, kings. The mountain is typically a symbol for a kingdom. The 7 kingdoms could be the world empires over ancient history that has brought us to the point in time we are at right now. That could be Samaria, Egypt, Babylon, Greece, Persia, Rome, and the British Empire. 10. This 4th beast of Daniel and the beast that came out of the sea in Revelation 13 are the same. And like the scripture says, the dragon whom we know is Satan gave the beast its authority. 11. This beast is the United Nations that will come after the world system collapses. And that is where we're at today and where we are heading. This is an extensive summary that needed to be done because while people are making all these statements, I do not see clear teaching on these subjects, which is why people are so confused. People are also tying themselves to conclusions that have been done by people in the past, like saying the Roman Catholic Church is that Antichrist is just lazy research that stems from the Protestant Reformation. Much of these false conclusions have been made to lead people in false directions. And that's why I wanted to handle this thoroughly. But we must finish this discussion. But I do not like to overwhelm with information. I'm running out of time on this. This is the Bible study that can help you work out all these things for yourself. Take all these scriptures and go back and read it and study it on your own. Like we are commanded, we are coming out of all this, and we're studying to show ourselves approved. What I'm going to do next is speak about the United Nations a little bit more clearly so that the last conclusion I just made about the United Nations being the fourth beast, it can make more sense. But this video should help all that desire to dive deeper into this topic. It should shed some light on areas that were hidden in darkness. Regardless of everything, it is important to understand these things so we will not fall for the agendas. But please know and understand, it is not the most important thing. The most important thing is to do the will of our Father. You shall love Yahweh your Elohim with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and great commandment, and the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. That's Matthew chapter 22, verses 37 through 40. If you focus on loving Yahweh, keeping his commandments, living by faith and obedience to his word, then when the time comes, you will not fall for any of this. I am not asking you to follow me. I am asking you to follow Yah and trust in him. Study on your own. Turn off your television, read books, do not be distracted. This is very important. We are in perilous times. But for those of us who are headed towards the promises our Father has for us, it is truly a wonderful time to be alive. So if you truly desire him, continue to focus on him and grow more in knowledge and understanding. There is nothing more important than this. Be blessed. Hallelujah. Praise Yah. Okay, thanks again for watching. If this has blessed you, please make sure to like it and share this video with others. If you have not done so already, please make sure you subscribe to this channel. Yah willing, I upload every Friday. Please also don't forget to follow this ministry on Facebook and Instagram, as well as on this website, Truthunedited.com. And for any reason you do not see this channel any longer, you can always find this ministry on the website. Make sure you subscribe to the email list to always stay connected. Listen, please continue to pray for this ministry. Your prayers and your support are sincerely appreciated. As always, thank you to those who have donated to this ministry. Your contribution is a huge blessing to this ministry and helps continue on with this assignment. Your support is a blessing. I'm always humbled by your support, and I'm very thankful for you. Be blessed. Okay, thanks again everyone for watching. I love you all.